Yeah.
Okay, good. We're in Curigua, Guatemala.
Okay.
Okay. And that's where I took a solo pilgrimage to back in 1994. And knowing that we are now entering on the Lightning Path, the Sector 5 bend, with the hieroglyph being the signature of the Skywalker, I remembered this image from Curigua, and it just felt really resonant somehow. And they have a number of these stela, as they're called, and each one depicts, I guess you would say, a Mayan lord. So this is someone who has attained a high level of consciousness and is therefore in the kind of the ruling elite class, I guess, of the traditional Mayan cosmology. And there's a number of these around that. Oh, was there a question there?
No,
Okay.
it's just clearing my throat.
Oh, sorry. Um, but I went from Quirigua over to Copán, which is in Honduras. And when I encountered this particular uh, carving, I was really taken aback because it was so resonant with graphics that I had been working with, which took this uh, pointer wider at the top and then down to the center of the earth, essentially, is where I went with it. And I've developed a whole astrological tool based on that progression. The planets are lined up in a hierarchy, a natural hierarchy. And this particular carving just really resonated with that whole model of consciousness expansion that I had created. So once again, really a resonance with the ancestral wisdom of the Maya. So as we come into this 5 bin zone, we'll call it, these are keywords that come from the book, The Mayan Oracle. And this has been a really wonderful resource for the whole of the Lightning Path work. And what we have here are keywords for 5, creative presentations, new and different items, blossoming, inventions, parties, amusements, the arts, sexuality, solving a jigsaw puzzle, jack of all trades, excitement ranging from states of austerity to being jovial, as above, so below, a fully realized product, using both sides of the brain, ambidextrous, accomplishments, need for organization. So this is, part of the practice of attuning to the lightning path is to, kind of ingest these keywords at the new moon point, and then allow them to permeate our consciousness and guide us into the kind of experiences that I've just read there. So it's an attunement process, an attunement to symbology that evokes in us a creative response to life. So we have the 5th chakra is also indicated here because the glyphs and the numbers do relate to the chakra system. So with that kind of creative presentation, as I'm bringing to you here now, we also then look to Ben, the hieroglyph for the Skywalker, and we see initiation to a higher level of consciousness, pillars of heaven and earth uniting, working in harmony with others, courage and compassion, balancing of opposites, fluid reference points, angelic messenger, time-space travel, understanding, knowledge, teaching. So in my own practice, I'm paying attention now, specifically right now, to these characteristics. And as the lunation unfolds phase by phase, I'll be bearing these keywords in mind. And inevitably, there's a connection with something that emerges on one particular day. You get an aha. Oh, yes, as above, so below. I got it. or there's some accomplishment coming forward here after months of presentation or preparation, let's say. So that's the kind of practice that the Lightning Path offers. So as I began preparing my creative presentation for today, I was unexpectedly inspired by Barbara's Spring Celebration Tarot reading, which was a week and a half or so ago. And it inspired me to take a completely different direction than what I had started with. For one of the tarot cards she pulled resonated so deeply with the front cover of a book I am currently reading that I could not help but pay very close attention to the Barbara's message as follows.
Monique.
Okay, according to plan, the video is supposed to play. Unfortunately, that's not working. So this was the glyph, which was one component of the reading. And the book that I was reading is this Rodney Collin, Celestial Influence on the left. And it turns out that the title of the cover painting on that book is The Aquarian Door. And when I made this
Say that the Aquarian what?
Door.
Door.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as that connection was made between the hand on the book and Barbara's hand holding the hand, I had this rush of resonance back to a presentation I did a couple of 3 years ago around Bitcoin and around all these Aquarians who are still prominent in bringing forth this new invention, Bitcoin. And so that steered me off into that presentation and what it had to offer. And so I've taken that and developed the rest of this presentation. So as I say, totally unexpected that I would be doing that. Now this beautiful image is a new one by Barbara, and it just so speaks to the kind of the nature of our journey together. We have this yellow submarine, and it's been with us right from the get-go, and it came in to my world back in '86 when I had this initial revelation of how the lunation cycle integrates with the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. And I won't go fully into that here, but it's just an ongoing little vehicle that depicts all these little spirals are people. So there's the small group resonating together and traveling into mythic time and space and receiving guidance, and that's the basic context for this.
That's a great painting.
Oh, I love that. And Barb, you sent me that on my birthday. It was such a beautiful.
Oh, wow.
So as most of you know, Rudyard is the major mentor in my life, and I often refer to him for his deep philosophical presentation of the sacred knowledge, and he goes right to the heart of things. And in this case, he's going right to the heart of the cycle. So cyclicity, the concept of the cycle, is at least potentially the most inclusive of all symbols, because it constitutes a frame of reference for all symbols. It enables us to situate and to give a structural meaning to any and all symbols. It answers perhaps to the most profound need of the human mind, the need to harmonize within an intelligible pattern of order and significance, ideas and beliefs, modes of feeling and behavior which, though radically different, must all be granted an objective and historical geographical value. So cyclicity in general as a principle, but Rudyard took it into a whole next level of working with cyclicity, and that is his teaching around the lunation cycle, which I connected with in 1972 when his book, The Lunation Cycle, was published by Shambhala Books. So that particular book, in hindsight now, I see it as a kairotic, or some would say chironic, tool for the divination of harmony. And I'll be sharing with you different ways it can be applied. So here we have the full structure of the lunation cycle as a series of phases. Human experience is essentially cyclic, and it unfolds according to structural principles. So we're with these monthly new moon gatherings, and now the full moon gatherings as well, we are consciously working with the lunation cycle to help us find harmony. And it is a practice. It requires learning about the different phases, and then about paying attention to what phase we're currently in. We're all born into that structure at a particular phase of the moon, and that's what Rudyard called the lunation birthday, which is another fascinating realm to explore. But where I have really been interested in exploring recently is this applying the lunation cycle to the relationship between any two astrological planets. And this quote is from Michael Mayer, who was a protege of Rudyard's, and who has this to say: the cyclic relationship between the sun and the moon, and between any two astrological planets, is constantly changing, never static. All cycles of planetary relationship begin and end with the conjunction aspect, an angular relationship of 0 degrees. A cycle is not a circuit of empty and meaningless eternal return, but a spiralic process of evolutionary growth. So two successive conjunctions never occur at the same place. The lunation cycle has two fundamental half cycles, or hemicycles. The character of the first, or waxing hemicycle, from new moon, that's conjunction, to full moon, opposition, is of decidedly different character than the waning hemicycle, extending from the full moon to the next new moon. So that's an important distinction. People talk often just about angular relationships between planets, but they don't place it within the context of a complete cycle. So it's a way of really amplifying our understanding of any particular relationship between two planets. And that's where we go now, and that is applying the lunation cycle to the Saturn-Uranus cycle. So general characteristics of Saturn-Uranus cycles: issues of freedom, Uranus. Well, issues of freedom, Uranus, versus control, Saturn. We have experiences like Tiananmen Square. Issues of the individual, represented by Uranus, versus the collective, which refers to the Saturn function. And then the ingress of new ideas, new Uranian ideas into concrete Saturnian form. And that's where Bitcoin comes in. But it enters the arena in the dynamic of the Saturn-Uranus cycle, which is fundamentally this, about control versus freedom. Now, Only since 1977 have we had this planetoid, Chiron, in the picture. Now, Chiron sits between Saturn and Uranus. And it has a very specific function there in that it provides the ways and means of finding harmony in the dynamic between Saturn and Uranus. Chiron is well, as I've said here, when seen through an astropsychological lens, newly discovered planetoid Chiron acts as a lightning rod of the cosmic imagination, safely channeling raw Uranian power into new Saturnian forms. So without this Chiron factor, we have the kind of change that people are often experiencing, and that is sudden, irreversible, unexpected transformation of whatever we're up to at the time. The Chiron factor, there's an anticipatory nature to it. It kind of looks ahead, and the idea, the notion of divination comes into the picture. With Chironic tools, we're able to divine paths of harmony, integrating this Saturn-Uranus connection. And the lunation cycle itself, of course, is one of those tools. Now, the Aquarian astrologer Barbara Hand Clow was one of the pioneers who brought forth a teaching around Chiron. And I highly recommend her books on this particular planetoid. And I say planetoid because it's much smaller than all of the other planets. However, its placement is very, very significant. So in an attempt to evoke the different domains here that we're dealing with, the realm of Saturn extends from the sun out to the limits of Saturn. This is like the globe, and it has its outer limit. And at the outer limit, we see the realm. We see the Chironic individual piercing the veil, going beyond the status quo, going beyond what society orders up, and venturing into the beyond, which is represented then by Uranus. So we're going from control into this radiant freedom. And as you see with this character here pushing through, we've got the right hand is up and pushing on, and in the left, he's holding a tool. He, she, holding a tool. So this is so much the quality of engagement that Chiron brings us. It puts a tool in our hands and says, go and apply. Now, the lesson of Chiron, according to Barbara Clow, is to break Saturn form so that the native can move into Uranian dimensions. So this is the whole expansion of consciousness that awaits. Attributes of Chiron: healing, awareness, transformation, whole making, spiritual growth, service to others.
And that's today so significant because it's exactly conjunct the new moon and the sun.
Exactly.
At whatever degrees.
Which I only realized the other day, like a couple of days ago, when most of my presentation was complete. And the other thing that zapped me was this has landed right exactly on my moon, my natal moon. Aquarius.
That's real. So it's on your natal moon with Chiron.
Yep.
Exactly conjunct the sun and the new moon in Aries, which is, I think it's 19 degrees something minutes in Aries.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And unusual, pretty rare. And it really ties to exactly what you just went through with describing Chiron. That's amazing. Go ahead, though.
Yeah. Well, as Victor Hugo once said, nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come.
Yeah, and whose time is right on top of us. I mean,
Yeah,
literally.
literally. And so here we are, and I'm launching us into an investigation of Bitcoin, like using this particular tool. You can imagine that at the time, I was very excited to be exploring this realm because Bitcoin was so new, and I had used this tool for many, many years, but I hadn't really applied it in the way that we're doing here now. So it was a very exciting time. So here it is, the inner structure of the lunation cycle, these 8 major sectors. And we're right now sitting at that new moon point, and there's there's an emergence happening here. There's a generation of new tone, and inevitably a struggle from the past. The initial phases here are about assertion of selfhood and in the world, and what can we do to further that?
That's really awesome. That's this really clearing. That was really good. I mean, just reading through it, that's great. Go ahead.
Great, thank you. So here, what I've done is take the lunation cycle and displayed it as a sine wave. So over on the left there, we have the seed of a previous cycle resonating now with the new moon point, and then rising up to the first quarter, and then down to, see at 1966 is the full moon point, and then 1976 is the last quarter, and then over to 1988, and we're setting the tone for a new cycle.
Wow. Wow.
And so, yeah, the internet is so fabulous for grabbing images. I grabbed these and
then the graphics just are a starting point for a much broader picture in terms, especially the timeline and what you've tied to it. Real interesting.
Right on. And placed myself in there. There I am, 1949. That's me up in the upper left hand.
So that's you in 1949. Yeah. Wow. You look like a older person than you. How old were you in 1949?
Well, I was born in 49.
Well, but that's not you up there,
no,
is it? Oh,
well,
no, that's
me.
you, but that's not in 19. That's
No.
the picture. You were born in 49, but that's a picture of you as a little boy.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that's okay. I didn't see how you could be that. If you were born in 49, that little kid looks older than.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a great picture. That's awesome.
So, most of us here, we've lived through the same sweep of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've known the incredible polarity of forces that manifested in the world, and here we are coming down to, if we drop down to the bottom right hand corner, we got the fall of the USSR, the Velvet Revolution. Now, this is really a significant point in the cycle because as that previous Saturn-Uranus cycle was coming to completion, we had the seed forming, the seed of a new cycle. And it was during that seed period that the Velvet Revolution took place in Europe. And a significant person in that was Václav Havel, who wrote a manifesto. And as he says here, a specter is haunting Eastern Europe, the specter of what in the West is called dissent. This specter has not appeared out of thin air. It is a natural and inevitable consequence of the present historical phase of the system it is haunting. It was born at a time when this system, for 1,000 reasons, can no longer base itself on the unadulterated, brutal, and arbitrary application of power, eliminating all expressions of nonconformity. What is more, the system has become so ossified politically that there is practically no way for such nonconformity to be implemented within its official structures. So his words went far and wide at the time, and especially in Czechoslovakia, which is where it was focused. This is where the Velvet Revolution really unfolded over this period from 1978 to 1989. The Velvet Revolution, or Gentle Revolution, was a nonviolent transition of power in what was then Czechoslovakia, occurring from November 17th, 89 to 29 December 89. So that was the very peak. Popular demonstrations against the one-party government of the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia included students and older dissidents. The result was the end of 41 years of one-party rule in Czechoslovakia and the subsequent dismantling of the command economy and conversion to a parliamentary republic. So to my way of thinking, we have the inevitability of Uranus transforming the Saturnian bubble, or popping the Saturnian bubble, and opening the door to a much broader, freer expression of what it is to be a human. Now, that event and that manifesto that Havel created, to my way of thinking, there was a passage of the torch from Václav Havel to a cryptologist named Tim May, who, 10 years later, after the Havel manifesto, we have Tim May creating the crypto-anarchist manifesto. And so here's Tim, and he's starting his manifesto off with very similar wording. A specter is haunting the modern world, the specter of crypto-anarchy. And he goes on to explain crypto-anarchy is the cyberspatial realization of anarcho-capitalism, transcending national boundaries and freeing individuals to make the economic arrangements they wish to make consensually. So the torch of freedom. And Tim is one of the early cypherpunks, they called them. So here we have 1988, the Saturn-Uranus conjunction at galactic center, by the way. And we have Tim May bringing forth his crypto-anarchist manifesto. So that was setting the tone for this whole new 42-year cycle, 44-year cycle. Now, by the we see by 1993, we have a whole group of what they called themselves were the cypherpunks. This was a group of maybe 10 or 12 people, all cryptologists down in California, I think centered more or less in San Francisco. And they would get together weekly. And I've had experiences like this back on Cortez Island. The geeks gather on Thursday and discuss different aspects of cyberspace. Well, that's what was going on in San Francisco. And these cypherpunks, over the period from 1988 to 2008, developed the basic code for the emergence of Bitcoin. Now, it came forth under the pseudonymous name of Satoshi Nakamoto. No one really knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. Is it a single person? Is it a group of people? No one to this point has expressed a complete understanding of that. There's been frauds perpetuated around this this idea, but by and large, the final emergence of the the Bitcoin protocol that was released by an unknown person to this day. And it occurred right at the full moon point in the cycle.
Wow.
So here we have this, you know, all of these, when people talk about, oh, Bitcoin, yeah, was invented in 2008, you know, well, no, it took many years of development, and it was released to the public in 2008. The white paper that described it all was released in 2008. In January of 2009, the first block, as they say, of computations took place, and that's what kicked the whole phenomena off. And what it is essentially it's a ledger. It's a very faithful open source ledger of accounts that can be witnessed by anyone. It's a protocol that can be used by anyone. It's open source. And that's why you see this proliferation of, there are now thousands of Bitcoin spin-offs, we'll say. And because it's wide open. It's been under attack for all of, ever since it's been born. And it has faithfully and successfully continued to maintain this ongoing ledger of accounts. And the amounts that it's been dealing with go from pennies in 2008, 2009, or 2009 to now, where are we? I think a single Bitcoin is like, all-time highs now, I think, are 90,000 per coin. So it's a very much, it's manifesting as something very real, and in terms of its developmental process here, mapped by the Saturn-Uranus cycle, we see that we're currently at the last quarter, and this is where the value of Bitcoin, as I see it, is that it provides a technology that can liberate humanity from the throes of the Saturnian worldview. It is there as a bridge, in a sense, a chironic bridge into a realm of much more freedom and liberation.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Where on the graphic here shows 2024 at the present, last quarter square, a crisis in consciousness calls for a reorientation. And would there be any correspondence to that? I can't think of his name right off, but the guy that's been sentenced to prison for whatever, misrepresenting Bitcoin or however all that happened. Just here recently, within the last month, he was found guilty.
Yeah.
How would that kind of correspond to that point in this chart somehow within the crisis of consciousness? Because he was so big, he would be one of the big figures in it,
yeah,
who generated lots of money, but then in his whatever you would call it, carelessness or negligence or misuse of his power, caused many people to lose large amounts of money. And
yes.
then he's okay. So I don't know that much about that, but I'm tuning into this and wondering what you think about that.
Well, I think it's all part of the environment right now, of consciousness. There have been several fraudsters and people that have really misused their power along the way. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the dance, you know, is discerning who is working truthfully and who isn't.
And then that's a crisis in consciousness. Exactly. Because it's a good idea that's working real well when it's just like, to what degree, and again, too, it's an idea that works without so much control, that gives the individual more autonomy within the process.
Yes.
But then when an individual misuses, the consciousness goes, you have to get clear with
Exactly right. Yeah.
who you're dealing with within the system.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's lots of resources to be able to do that.
Yeah, and
It,
you're a great one right now, I think.
well,
It's helping me understand this a lot better than I have.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Great. So yeah, we're in that span of reorientation. And this is not just about Bitcoin. This is about the whole of our society.
Yeah.
There's something's got to change here.
Yeah.
And it means letting go of the past, essentially. Letting
Yeah.
go, and allowing the new to come forth. For example, here's, you've got your legacy media versus alternative free speech media. The legacy media is so censored now. YouTube, Twitter. Twitter has undergone quite the transformation, so it's kind of back maybe over on the right-hand side for free speech. But Facebook, same. There's all kinds of censorship.
Let me ask you another question. I don't know if you do you know much about Robert Edward Grant? He's the mathematician character who's just recently, in fact, I've just recently received in the last couple of days acceptance to be part of Orion, which is something that he's developing as a very a means by which people can come together and have chats, but be totally safe from bots and all of that sort of thing. But that's through the Orion platform that's just now emerging. He's a guy that spent a lot of time in the pyramids in Egypt and actually Mexico and various other places. But I was just wondering if you knew much about him.
Yeah, no, that's all new to me.
Okay, I'll send you something maybe in just a message.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Interesting, but go ahead. This is awesome.
That picture to me tells the story right there.
Wow, yeah.
We the people. Bitcoin is the people's money.
And that's in Aquarius. That's what the age of Aquarius is. I mean, it's gonna take us 20 years, take us 2 or 3 years from now, but 20 years from now, we're going to be in a very, just crazily different world. Go ahead. That's an awesome picture.
I like this quote. Bitcoin is a way to start and fight a political revolution without shooting any bullet and without casting any vote.
Wow.
Brandon, whoops. That wasn't supposed to do that.
That money's foundational to society is one of the things that concerns me, especially living in Texas. And Texas politics are really strange right now. And with this eclipse coming over us in terms of how the power structure of, the king and so forth. But my income, I planned it real carefully as a young person, but is totally based on teacher retirement system of Texas.
Yeah.
Which is one of the largest retirement funds in the country, but then also Social Security. And then if we live in a time that's like, let's say, if Texas decided to secede from the Union, which our governor continues to claim that he can, and he's fighting against the federal government's laws with immigration. But if it got to a point where people had to figure out where they were going to live or how so like all of my income is based on these governmental, ones that I paid into,
Yeah.
ones that I've been guaranteed, ones that are absolutely supporting me. But if suddenly they were gone, or somebody, it, the whole it's just a strange thing to contemplate, sort of like, and there's millions of people at the mercy of those kind of systems.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, that's institutions at large, are under decay, certainly.
Yeah. And so to some extent, if we have any extra money that we have, that we could, once we understand, that we could apply towards those, like a Bitcoin system, then that could be a means of putting us somewhat in more personal control,
And
I
that's
suppose.
exactly what people are doing. Yeah. It's being seen as a store of value. And it has a very interesting dynamic or component in that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin mined, as they say. And it's already up to, I think, 19 million or more. So
Oh, wow.
it's becoming an increasingly rare commodity in essence. And this is part of its stability in the future. It's very erratic right now. The old stock market graphs.
Yeah, and I like that
Apply that
statement.
to Bitcoin. It's just all over the place. And that
At the bottom there, you say that it's hard money that cannot be manipulated for political gain,
yes,
incentivizes creating value above political capture. And to all of a sudden have, for the state of Texas to have a contract with all of its teachers, however many thousands of them are continue to live that are retired, and then, playing these games of, even like Donald Trump with America, we can do away with Social Security. You do what we say, or we can click our finger and dissolve your entire means of income, our
yeah.
contract with you that you've lived your whole life, guaranteed by, which American politics has done with, be it the treaties with the indigenous people and forever. I suppose some of that's in Canada too, in different ways,
Oh yeah.
between oil and pipelines and all of that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No
It's
problem.
just this is amazing though. Very interesting.
Great. Thank you. The fiat standard and how it operates. I mean, that
Oh,
pretty much
wow.
tells the story.
Ay, 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 ay. That's just crazy. That is just crazy. And that's, this is real significant at this moment in time with this eclipse, because I think that's what it's all about. It's the letting go of the we. And the we is sort of like we as a collective for all this time have had these systems that we've lived under with a general sense of trust that they would work in our behalf, but at the same time, and always finding the little glitches where they're not necessary. But we're at a time where we have to come to grips with letting go of an awful lot of what has been and looking forward and putting our own personal energy into, whatever we might lose as times move forward, as long as we get really connected to that power within our mind spirit and get our heart mind together. That's our strength for the future. And the more we have that, we can deal with any calamity that might show its face.
Right on.
But it's that's a very dramatic picture image right there.
Yeah. Pretty much tells the story.
Yeah, dear Lord. I remember a few years back when I was like maybe in my 20s, where the Mexican peso suddenly went just downhill where you used to be like 8 pesos would get you $1, and then suddenly within the course of a year it was like 3,000, 5,000 pesos. Their inflation just went off the charts.
Yeah.
And it's all since been totally reconfigured. But it's anyway, go ahead. This is shocking. This is awesome. This is awesome.
So there I am exploring all this stuff and
Your
consolidating.
Aquarius rising.
And then I started looking into the birth charts of some of the luminaries that I was encountering in the Bitcoin world. And there's a handful right here.
Well, Alex Jones in the bottom corner is from here in Austin.
Yeah.
And that man is just as crazy and sick as anybody ever existed. Anyway, go ahead.
And there's also a lot of memes out there that are saying, and yeah, Alex was right.
Well,
it's shown
Alex, he takes every side of any issue, so you have to at least be right on one,
Yeah, well,
he's wrong on 99.9% of it all, but he's right on that one. And he's predicting that, whatever's going to happen in the next hour and a half when the sun goes dark, there's a meme of people flying off the earth heading into the sky, and that's Alex Jones. If you'll buy into it, he'll sell you anything. But go ahead.
Well, then behind him is Max Kaiser, who's was educating people about Bitcoin when it was at 10 cents.
Oh, yeah.
So he's legendary. He helped create a number of millionaires, people that followed his advice.
Yeah.
But and he and his wife continue to, they're billionaires, obviously, but they're on their daily basis, they're out there educating people about the whole Bitcoin phenomenon. He's aligned with the President Bukele of El Salvador, which now has Bitcoin as a legal currency in the country.
Wow.
Which is a precedent, of course. Then over on the left, we have Michael Saylor in his grand golden coat. He was, or is, an Aquarian who's actually his sun is at Aquarius 14 degrees. Mine's at Aquarius 15. So I really became resonant with his whole venture. Now he is the CEO of a major information technology corporation, but he's become a major Bitcoin advocate, and by putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet of the corporation. This was like a first, and he did it in a flourish. Like I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars that got transferred in that first exchange, but he really set a precedent. And now his company is involved in training other companies as to how to do that. So we have what's called institutional adoption underway, and it's vastly accelerating the whole process.
And once it becomes clear, then it can take off. It can become more viable.
Yeah, exactly. And right above him is Andreas Antonopoulos. Now he's a real educator who's been out there for decades now, teaching people about Bitcoin, its protocols. He speaks to the ethos of Bitcoin and why it's important. And he's a major mentor for a lot of people. Down below him, we've got, with the rainbow shirt, Vitalik Buterin, who invented not Bitcoin, although he's a proponent of all kinds of crypto, but he invented Ethereum and the whole Ethereum blockchain phenomenon, which is a whole other story. And then up top, Roger Ver. For a while, they were calling him Bitcoin Jesus because he was doing things with his Bitcoin wealth that were, he was out there helping people in whatever way.
Feeding thousands of people on a little handful of coins. But
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, exactly.
Bitcoin, Jesus, really.
He, like Michael Saylor, I mean, to my way of thinking, they were by example showing what could be done with
Yeah,
some of this wealth. Like
yeah.
Saylor there's a free online university. I've checked it out. I haven't signed up, but there's that's a very novel um, creation as far as I'm concerned. And it's one way that he's managing his own personal wealth and the giving back to society.
And that's the power of Aquarius in Pluto for the next 20 something, like 20 years, is we can, it's shaky maybe at first, but there's the potential of technology and the right individuals, and with it, when it's in the right hands and directed in the right way to be, to be something that can absolutely turn all of life for all humans around.
Right on. So this is the group that flew into my mind when I saw that the Aquarian hand. What was it, the Aquarian door image, the painting on the book that I'm reading, and yeah, it was really fun to go back into that vault.
Yeah, yeah.
More currently, there's I would call this guy the voice of Bitcoin. On a daily basis, he's putting it out there. Bitcoin this, Bitcoin that. It's just everything Bitcoin, and he's very passionate. He's done very well for himself, I think, with the whole Bitcoin phenomenon. But he's, yeah, if you want to find out more about Bitcoin, he's definitely a great podcaster. So getting to the closing here, and then, so what is the Bitcoin ethos? What's it all about? So I went to the robot on this chat GPT, and yeah, just these are ideas then for us to ponder. The ethos of Bitcoin is deeply rooted in the principles of decentralization, financial sovereignty, censorship resistance, and transparency. And following is a breakdown. So for decentralization, Bitcoin operates on a decentralized network of computers, also called nodes, that collectively maintain and secure the system. This means there is no central authority or single point of control over the network. Decentralization is seen as a safeguard against censorship, manipulation, and single points of failure. Financial sovereignty. Bitcoin empowers individuals by giving them full control over their finances. Users can send and receive Bitcoins without the need for intermediaries, such as banks or payment processors. This provides financial autonomy, especially in regions where traditional financial infrastructure is lacking or unreliable. Censorship resistance. Transactions on the Bitcoin network are immutable and resistant to censorship. Once a transaction is confirmed and added to the blockchain, it becomes virtually impossible to alter or reverse. This feature is particularly important in environments where governments or other entities may try to restrict or monitor financial transactions.
Wow.
Like Canada, for example, during the truckers' rebellion, revolt. Transparency. Bitcoin operates on a public ledger called the blockchain, which records all transactions ever made. This transparency ensures that anyone can verify the validity of transactions and the total supply of Bitcoins. The openness of the blockchain enhances trust and accountability within the Bitcoin ecosystem. Overall, the ethos of Bitcoin is centered around the idea of creating a peer-to-peer digital cash system that is trustless, borderless, and resistant to censorship and manipulation. It aims to challenge traditional financial systems and empower individuals by providing them with greater control over their money and financial transactions.
You know, something that all that this is just inspired, I mean, just getting me to think about is how do these systems, even almost anything that we do today, how does it function without the high tech? Let's say for instance, if the magnetic poles messed up, or if suddenly the internet went down, or it's just like all of a sudden we could just be at a place where nothing works. Everything would be at a standstill to some extent, I don't know, whatever. We won't even go there. But because all of this sounds wonderful as long as the systems function that store all this information, as long as something can't just zap it out of existence like Mother Nature somehow. But nevertheless, we're only here for a short time anyway, on however Mother Nature decides. So it's interesting. The other thing too, right now, with like 250 years ago, we began that in like the Industrial Revolution, or whatever you would call it then. From the printing press to all these things that have moved, and then now we're at this whole new era, and so we've almost moved beyond the past. We're just moving into uncharted territory. But this is, as conceptually, as long as somebody can't knock it off, just zap it, make it disappear into thin air. But
yep. Well, and that's the nature of that decentralized technology.
That's awesome.
It can fail here and there, but there's 90% of the network still going. So
yeah,
unless this whole thing of the whole collapse of the internet, I suppose that's a very distant possibility, but I don't really go there too often myself.
No, I don't either, other than I just realized that to me, it feels so easy to put more faith in modern technology than I'm so much more comfortable with looking back towards the Mayans, or towards our ancestors from 10,000 years ago, than I am towards Elon Musk or whoever those characters that are on top of high tech today.
Yeah,
it's all real good until which point they be suddenly, over the course of 10 years, are multi-billionaires, and then all of a sudden they're instead of being optimistic 25 or 30-year-olds, they're these turning into that temptation to be more controlling in their middle age as they gain power.
yeah.
Whatever, that whole transformation of individuals, that just overnight all this so much is it's just blooming before us in a moment. So go ahead. That's a topic for another time.
Yeah. So this is me just looking back through the different representatives of the Bitcoin protocol, and just relating through their birth charts to the angle between Saturn and Uranus at birth. It just spells out this little graphic here. So we see Vitalik Buterin, the Aquarian. He's 37 degrees between Saturn and Uranus, so he's in the emergence stage. And there he was, right along with Bitcoin. He's bringing forth another blockchain with its own integrity. And myself at 69 degrees, I'm in the expansion sector. So in relating to Bitcoin, apparently I'm set up to be an expander, and here I am, at least educating people somewhat about the phenomena. And then, I look up to my elder Timothy May there at the first quarter square, which is a time of action, and he being a Sagittarius, his actions at the time really set the course for the invention further down the line. Max Kaiser, the fellow that I mentioned earlier, who he and his wife Stacy, they're legendary in their Bitcoin world, in the span of overcoming. So he's out there, pounding his message forth each and every day, in different parts of the world. So, and Michael Saylor, also in that overcoming sector, right up to the full moon. So it's getting down to the details of what it takes to transfer this, fiat currency into this Bitcoin currency. He's paved the way for other companies to do the same. Down below him, we've got Jeff Berwick, which I didn't mention earlier. He's not an Aquarian. He's, again, a Sagittarian. And he's in that fulfillment stage. And Jeff lives by his crypto holdings. He has an ongoing podcast, and he's very much a visionary when it comes to not only the currency, but the whole anarcho capitalist kind of viewpoint. Andreas Antonopoulos, the Aquarian, in demonstration, and there he is. He's a teacher demonstrating the value of Bitcoin. He very much makes the case for how it can be used effectively to better society. So, and Jones, he apparently Max Kaiser gave Alex Jones a briefcase with I don't know how many thousand Bitcoin in it, which since disappeared. That's all part of the craziness that comes with a ginormous process like this. We get to Jack Dorsey. Now this is an interesting one. Jack Dorsey was with Twitter, and there came a point when he decided that, and this was before Twitter became X. Jack decided that he was going to jump the ship of Twitter and go fully into the Bitcoin ethos. So there's somebody there who made a conscious reorientation into this emerging Bitcoin protocol world. So, it's just another little
interesting
piece of the puzzle.
I like seeing Alex Jones way down there at the bottom as an Aquarius, and you as this higher version of Aquarius energy. I guess there's always the pros and the cons, and Alex Jones has totally figured out on the negative end. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And you're so clear and positive and focused on the optimal potential. Alex is always questioning. The more optimally focused you are, the more Alex Jones is, ready to go ahead. Though this is great.
Well, so this image is by David Dees, who, if you've never encountered David Dees' work, he is deceased now, but he had an incredible way of describing through imagery the different situations going on planet Earth, with the big battle, and he would catch a vision of what's going on and encapsulate that into something like this particular image. This is him foreseeing that with the collapse of the dollar, the American dollar as the world reserve currency, at the same time, we have this blast off of gold, silver, and Bitcoin. And in particular, right now, I mean, he made this image probably 10 or 15 years ago, but he saw what was coming.
Yeah, that's an awesome.
And when you look today, right now, all three of these metals, I believe silver's in on that. I know gold and Bitcoin are reaching all-time highs. They're going to the moon, and he saw that, way back when. So this whole thing has been unfolding, and yeah, where it's going to take us, we'll yet to see. So I guess I'm just kind of sounding a note for the freedom factor.
Yes, and the freedom for diving into potential. There's potential around us all the time.
Yes.
And freedom lets us recognize and go for it, rather than to feel that, rather than to suppress it or sit on top of it. We have to open to potential.
Well
freedom. This has been awesome. I've learned so much in this last few minutes. It's just crazy.
Oh, great. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So thank you so much.
Once you have this on video or put it up, I'll share it with people, because I think there's a lot of people that would benefit from your presentation. Just, it's very awesome.
Well, thank you. That's my intention, is to get the word out. It's me trying to consolidate some kind of legacy with the experience that I've had. And
yeah. And you're putting.
I just want to say, usually I've only presented and then we've discussed. It's been really enjoyable to have you bring your commentary in as we're going through the presentation.
Well, and if you haven't minded, from my perspective, because you're right here, it makes sense to ask a question right on the spot, because then my question is clear and it's related, and it's been extremely helpful to me.
Great.
I greatly enjoyed it and appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'd have to agree with that. I didn't participate, but it was listening to the two of you. I mean, it was great. Your questions, Rick, like Dwayne's presentation, definitely there's just so much there and so clear and so good. And thank you, Dwayne. And that's really helped me a lot with that whole Bitcoin thing that I had no clue of. And with Richard's questions, I was kind of annoyed at first. I thought, you're supposed to be mute, Richard, but
well, and I didn't know how to. I haven't figured out how to do. I turned my volume way down.
But
so
what I want,
hopefully,
what I'm saying, Richard, and it turned out very well. I mean, it's excellent, and I agree with, as a presentation goes by, it's good to be able to actually ask the questions in that moment of what's coming up, because for me, at the end,
for me, I'm in the presence of someone who's giving me better information. I mean, I've paid attention to it somewhat, but there's 1,000 things to pay attention to. And I'm in the presence of someone who's paid clear attention for quite some time and is giving me this picture more clearly than I've had. So my reaction is to jump on the questions while the getting's good.
That's great. Really great.
And I hate to leave so quick. I'm gonna leave it to you guys, but right now it's 12:32, and so in less than an hour, this thing is coming over me, and I'm gonna check out, maybe get on top of I don't know whether I'll go on the roof of my house if I can see. I'm just gonna go out and see. It's been cloudy, but then the sun was out for a while this morning, so it's we're gonna take it as it comes, but it's fixing to happen.
Enjoy.
Anyway, I will, and thank you. And it's been very nice seeing everybody and sharing, and I so appreciate it.
Well, enjoy the eclipse for us. We can't see it from here, so enjoy it for us.
I will.
Sending pictures, yes. Thank you.
I will.
Yeah, I enjoyed
Okay.
your photos from Teotihuacan and Mexico City. That was
Oh,
great.
I found them the other day and went ahead and scanned. It was just a little old disposable camera. So
Yeah.
the pictures aren't necessarily really very, some of them were better than others, but
Oh,
but
they
they're
tell the
still
story.
fun.
Yeah.
There were 1 million people there that day, and to get close enough to where people were dancing to get good pictures. And so
Awesome.
I've got these pictures on this little cheap old camera from with 50,000 people in front of me, and then I've had to zoom in on and crop them to even, but so you can get the feel for them anyway.
Sure did.
Well,
Very
y'all
good.
have a good eclipse and new moon day, and
New
we'll
Year
wish for
for the,
Barbara's. I hope your weather's good tomorrow,
yeah, we always escape.
and I hope Steve and
Sophia.
Yeah.
Sophia are doing okay anyway.
Yeah,
Talk
that's
to you
it.
guys later. Bye bye.
Bye now.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Bye bye.
Hmm.
Quite the character. Oh my goodness me.
Yeah, really enjoying his participation. It's great.
He's right there, and a lot of yeah, a lot of information and a lot of yeah, insights, and he's right there. Yeah, excellent.
Hmm. So Barbara, it's all your fault that I went into all that Bitcoin world.
Yeah, but it's so cool. I mean, it's so cool that you picked the vibrations, you know, with the cards. I mean, that's why I'm doing the readings.
Yeah.
Because it's like a channel. It's
It really
channeled
is.
energy.
Yeah.
And for everybody, and I was so annoyed about myself because I was holding this card and I said, aha, you know. And then I thought, oh, I have to keep talking about it, but I didn't really know what to say. So that made it more longer even. And then since I had to learn, I had two different things to learn. How to make videos smaller.
Mm,
Now I have an app for that.
okay.
And I had that you can put themes in, you know, you know, I overdid it totally in that video, but I liked it, you know, I even did it in Indian language. And I thought, oh, wow. And I said, yeah, I mean, if the universe says to me, go ahead, I just do it, you know.
Good. Yeah.
But then afterwards, you're sort of feeling like, oh my God, what did I say? I didn't control everything. And so now I have a real problem with this control system in YouTube, because afterwards I you know, what are they going for? Like I had this video from Vincent van Gogh. They just told me that it has too much violence in it, and I'm banned for. They took it off my platform because it has too much violence in it, and it's like blah blah blah.
Oh.
And
Which
I thought,
painting is
wow,
that then? What?
Wow.
That's a Van Gogh, you said?
that was there was an astrologer who I did also put it on the group page.
Yeah.
Because Rick was really like relating astrological constellations to my moon kind of Pisces kind of thing, and he was saying, oh my God, I see a parallel to Vincent's work in your astrology. So we kept talking about it, and
Right.
since I was like posting it maybe 3 or 4 times, all of a sudden I had this spot on my butt, you know. and it scared me. It really physically scared me. I said, what? You know, how can you, a bot is just stupid. He doesn't see, he doesn't get it, that it's an artist who lived a certain time and he chopped
Yeah.
his hair off, you know.
There you go, eh?
But
The
that was
control.
violence. That was violence for a bot. And from from the bot's point of view, I tried to understand it. Okay, you know. And I had the possibility to say something about it, and I said something. This doesn't really fit what you guys telling me there. So, but very little. You can do very little to not get locked or blocked or whatsoever, you know. And today, since I know now how to make my videos smaller and also to put some writings and text to it, I started BitChute to put up my videos there as well. After thinking a lot of, I mean, since a year I have an account in BitChute, and I thought since Dwayne is there,
Yeah.
I joined the BitChute club.
Oh, good, good.
So it's there. That's the first video. And then David Icke, you know, he's also banned. He's in BitChute. So cool people are in BitChute, and they can talk the way, you know, what we need to know. There's information we need to have.
Exactly.
And I
also,
wonder what happens to your video now with all this information, you know. You have to see.
I post on BitChute as well as Rumble.
Yeah, and I will do a Rumble as well. So
if you have any problem with BitChute and the only your video has to be 2 gigabytes or less, which is usually a problem for me if right out of the production.
But you can make
I have to
smaller.
shrink it down. Yeah, I have to shrink it down every time. But Rumble it's like it's unlimited. It's really easy. So
cool.
Just to know that.
So yeah, I made this step, and I had to, with the help of my son, I managed to get it, because it's like, you know, as us not growing up with this information, we have to put our heads around it first. So, and that's the same with Bitcoin. In the end, when somebody helps you, you can to create a wallet. Why not? Why not to have one? You know, and put a couple of €100 or dollars or whatsoever, and have it there. You know, it's like it's no big deal,
right?
Because the banks are just taking more and more of everything.
Absolutely.
So let's see. So this is like an interesting time. And you made it also visible now, how important that Uranus, and that's why they're all freaking out so much about the Uranus and the Saturn kind of challenge, which is coming up after the eclipse.
Right.
So let's see how the battle in the sky is gonna happen.
We've got that Mars Saturn conjunction coming up here.
Mars, Saturn.
So
yeah, but they're like this. For me, they're like the grandpa and his weak son, you know, because Mars, it's all happening in Pisces, isn't it? Or it's in.
Yeah,
is it
the Mars Saturn is in Pisces.
So it's not a very. It's a sun. When you say Saturn is the grandpa and Mars is the son, it's the son who says, bye-bye, Dad, you do the job. I'm leaving, because Pisces always run away. You know, they don't confront, they don't want confrontations. They hate confrontations. So Pisces is swimming away. It's just like, yeah, I'm going to have a good time, Dad. Dad, you take care. And then grandpa has to make a decision, you know, for Mars, what's happening. And since it's an overdone guy, I don't know if he's gonna be able. He doesn't have very much help from Mars. I don't see it. So I'm not so scared about it.
Right. Well, that's good. You got to be courageous in this life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've
And
been
I
with,
don't see that they're winning. Sorry,
No.
John.
oh, no, I was
Go
just going to ask, Dwayne, I think you've been with or in Bitcoin for a while, have you not? Or
Yeah, since, well, I mean, I started researching in 2017.
Yeah.
So back when Max Kaiser was, pumping it out, it was him and a couple of other podcasters at the time that I tuned into. And I didn't put anything into it until 2019.
Mm.
And that's about all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Skin in the game, they call it.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
And it's as Barbara, this thing of, I have a graphic somewhere. I almost used it in this presentation, but it showed on this graph, what kind of return a person would have gotten had they invested $100 in Bitcoin,
Oh my God.
Apple, all these different companies
Mhm.
alongside Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was way out top. $100 was bringing you back, I don't know, thousands of dollars. And that's the thing. People can invest into Bitcoin starting at like $10.
Yeah.
I literally would collect up my loonies until I had 50. Then I'd collect another 50 and another 50. And when I had $400 or $500, boom, that's going into Bitcoin. It was that simple. And it's only, over the long term, it's only increased in value. So it's just,
Yeah, and you can make a beautiful vacation with that, When you pull it out, you can go to Hawaii, hombre.
well, and now if you go to El Salvador, you can use your Bitcoin right there directly. So
No,
Wow.
interesting. Yeah.
so that would be an interesting journey, actually. El Salvador, apparently there are lots of people going there for that very reason. And
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
never really known much about El Salvador.
Isn't that the
Yeah.
place where they have this young president who did put all the bad guys in jail?
Yeah.
Oh, he cleaned the whole place up.
Yeah, absolutely. He's like,
And the Americans hate him.
yeah.
They
I
hate
worry
him.
about that sometimes, the CIA and what they might think of the whole shebang.
I'm wondering why he's still alive. Because he's like really on so it must have a reason for something. But he's living. But I mean, so many are killed young, or the presidents, like in Africa. When you look, how many have had to go for the money replaced. So yeah. And I'm motivated to do more readings then.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I
but
always enjoy yours.
Huh?
I'd say I always enjoy your readings. I feel very resonant with who you are and what you bring forward. So it's just, like that channel notion. You got a direct line to something good here, as far as I can see.
And it's like sometimes I have to just stop to find the right moment. But then I'm also worried about because I'm not really money motivated, because that's what you have to be in YouTube, more or less. They're pushing you into that. So I don't know if yesterday I said to myself, I'm stopping that.
Yeah.
But then it's like another day I want to make another video. I want, it's like it's also a necessity to communicate, or to give that service of me being able to transport something, whatever that is. But it's feeded now. I'm feeding the machine also, because they're harvesting YouTube. They're harvesting everything. It's like whatever, each fart you're making, if it's a brain fart, they they go for it, I like this word. There's an astrologer, and she always says, I'm having a brain fart. Whenever she said, she's like in a when her flow is not happening, she says that, and it's so funny.
Oh, you mean like a senior moment?
Yeah, yeah. But she
Oh,
can't
another
say
name. Yeah,
that.
another name.
Is it actually Canadian, or what is this word? Where is this word coming from?
Yeah, I don't know. Good question.
Hmm.
Are you familiar with that word?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
What?
Brain?
Brain fart? Brain
Yeah.
fart?
you use that.
I don't use it, but I've heard it a number of times. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, likewise.
I have to laugh all the time when I when I hear it. It's like, what? What did they just say? Yeah, but I mean, maybe we have to be laughing a lot more and
And
not
laughter is good.
also, huh?
Laughter
And
is
not
good.
take everything so serious.
Hmm.
Have some farts coming out of your brain. So it, so it releases the tension. I mean, how much tension people put out.
Hmm.
Hmm. Hey, and Barbara, I noticed, I don't know if it's my computer or yours. Do you have on your third eye? You've
I
got
have a bindi. I have a bindi today.
you have
Yeah,
a bindi.
yeah,
Okay.
from my
All
friend,
right.
from my
Oh.
yoga teacher. Yeah,
Okay.
so
Well, very good. Yeah.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun to
Well,
be a little bit more crazy.
yeah. Well, your third eye, I would say, is definitely open with the downloads you receive.
Now that would
Well,
be the mudra for her temple, what you just did. Did you do that consciously or unconsciously?
like that. Yeah, yeah. She did. Do
Oh.
it again, Joe.
Oh.
Very cool. I like it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, no, that just came. I mean, that just
It's a mudra.
my body
You
just
got her.
did that.
You
Wow.
got it. Woo-hoo.
Wow. Well, way to go. Okay.
Well, you see her.
I see you, Barbara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're doing well? How are you doing?
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah, doing well, and I'm going to be taking off shortly. I didn't know if I was going to go on to the Zoom today. I'm going to be on a road trip, not too far away, an hour and a half away, to do house dog sit for my nephew for a week to 10
Good.
days. So I'm just heading there. Well, when we close up here, I'm on.
You're
the road.
taking a little vacation.
Well, we'll see. It's a border collie, and I don't know if I'm going to have that kind of energy to keep up. But
He will teach you some
Beautiful
tricks.
dog.
oh yeah, no, beautiful black and white. Yeah, beautiful dog, lovely energy, and like yeah.
Mhm.
So it will be good.
Nice.
It'll be good, and it'll probably help getting me into shape, better shape. So yeah,
Yeah,
it'll
it
be
needs some fun because they like to play. They
yeah,
like you. They turn you on to invent something for them
yeah,
because they are very inventive. They like new stuff.
yeah. No,
Great.
it'll be good for sure. It'll be yeah. I look forward to it.
Yeah, very nice.
There'll be a lot of play, I think. A lot of
Yeah, nice.
Good.
Moving. It keeps
Yeah.
you into
Yeah.
into action.
Yeah.
Great.
yeah. So
Well,
Eclipse
I
time.
will be leaving short. Yeah, but
yeah, I think
Sorry.
it's pretty much
Yeah.
time to shut her down.
All
I'll
right.
get on to producing the final product.
Yes.
Hopefully that can come out
Just a minute.
shortly.
Before you
Oh.
shut.
Oh, here comes Teresa with a message from beyond.
Teresa has a message, does she? Hi, Teresa.
Hi.
Teresa.
If you go to NASA live stream, they're live streaming the eclipse right now. Here's a shot of what's going on in Mazatlan. Where's this camera?
Oh,
So it's nearing to totality in Mazatlan, and they're going to be following the eclipse all the way along. So
right.
it's a few minutes away from totality over there on the west coast of North America. And then they also switch over to Texas, and show its progress there. So it's a fabulous live stream, and it's live. This is a global event, and there's people all over the world watching it and focusing on the wonder of the moon and the sun and Earth.
Very good.
There you go.
Good.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
NASA live stream
NASA live stream.
on YouTube. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Teresa.
much. Enjoy, you guys.
Way to go, you guys.
That's great.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. Wonderful presentation, Dwayne.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Excellent.
We appreciate
Excellent. Excellent.
Oh.
it. On to the next.
Okay, away we go. See you. See you, Barbara.
So good to see you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.